So today I am talking with Angie and Gina from Revealing the Narrative. They are wedding photographers and they have this coaching and course program for other wedding photographers. I really love having had met with you. I guess it was last week or week before. I feel like what you guys are doing over there just meshes so well with what it is that we want, the business and the philosophy that we want to be putting out there into the world as well. So I'm thrilled to be able to talk with both of you and to just dive into what it is that you do and why you do it and who it's best for. So anyway, with all that said, Angie and Gina, everyone.
Hey,
Hi.
thanks for having us.
Yeah, you on your website, it says the first thing is this idea of capturing what's real and building a career you love. I love that you bring both of those things together. I feel like it's almost this melding of art and commerce where it's like we can do both. They don't have to be mutually exclusive. We can not just create great images, but also run a great business. But then there's also something else about this that I think you guys get to the heart of right there in the very first three words or whatever. It's not just, hey, create great images. It's capture what's real. Unpack that for me a little bit, and then we'll probably head over into the build a career you love part after that.
Yeah. I'll start and then you take over, Angie. How does that sound?
That sounds good.
Okay. So the capturing what's real part is, I think Angie and I both found, like, on our journeys of photography, that the most fulfilling work for ourselves was when we really got to, like, the heart of the story, the emotion, the interactions, what makes humans beautiful, right? And then we also found that this is equally what our ideal clients are after too. So it's this beautiful compass to guide you. If it's real, then that's what we're after. Like, I was always into sort of documentary photography. And then it was funny when I started weddings, I lost that compass for a minute because I thought, oh, I have to do this and this and this. And then I like refound it. And that's when I was like, oh, this is when this job is exciting. That's when you get the rush from your work because you actually are getting things that are not only meaningful, but exciting to get, powerful, all this stuff. So that's what that means to me.
Yeah, we talk about that over here. It just internally, it's the phrase we use is it's our North Star. When I get lost, when I feel like, what am I doing? Is this really that when something just doesn't feel right, we have that kind of that North Star to look at and reorient ourselves and say, that's where I'm headed. Is this on that path? If it is, okay, great. If it's not, then okay, it's time to rethink what it is that I'm doing. So I love that you come at that from the perspective of not just the types of images that you create, but even the clients that you work with. Actually, something I want to know before we even dive further into any of that is how did you guys meet, and what made you say, hey, I like you enough to start a business together, but I don't like you enough to start a business together? You know what I mean? Because like sometimes you're like, we can't be that close of friends. I'm kidding. But yeah, how did you guys decide to go in on this together?
Ironically, so Gina and I, so she's in the Boston area. We have a pretty big network of photographers that we collaborate with. And what ended up happening is there's not a lot of moment-based photographers in the area. So Gina and I started becoming friends over that. And then I think we had coffee one day and we were chatting. And ironically, we have very similar approaches to how our businesses developed, where it went from losing our North Star, or for me, discovering really what that was, because I felt shoes, dress, detailed photos, like that's very important to clients. And then I realized, like, half the time they're leaving out those images from albums and things like that. Like they're getting used online, but they're not doing anything else with them. And the images with the people and the connection, that's what's really selling it. And for me, that work was much more fulfilling. So we chatted, we ended up realizing we've actually done the same thing independently. And I think a big thing for us was realizing that you could build a successful business with work that you find meaningful and creative. And so we started chatting about this over coffee, and then we were like, this is a good idea. We should do this. We should promote it to other people, because I think a lot of people feel the pressure to conform to what they see on Instagram or Pinterest or something, because it gets a lot of likes, it gets a lot of traction. But when I think you're talking about like client fulfillment and personal satisfaction. It's about creating art that you really believe in.
Totally.
Yeah.
We
And
could feel that passion in each other. And I think we get kind of not heated, because that's not the right word, but passionate talking about it, and like how to get clients like that, and how to not go for like the pretty pictures, and reminding each other of that.
I think I would say going beyond the pretty, where it's like you can still
going
take those
beyond the
detailed
pretty.
photos, but like really developing a new level of importance for your client.
yeah. Angie, I think we talked about this when we talked last week or whenever it was. They're all blurring together at this point. But yeah, it reminded me a lot of a conversation I had with an elopement photographer, and his story, where he was saying that, so this is a friend of ours, a guy named Joe Hendricks. We shot weddings together in the Nashville market, and he did the same thing. He did what you're supposed to do, right? This, like, I'm going to chase down the big Nashville Southern weddings, the 300 to 500, just like standing room only weddings or whatever, big Southern weddings. And I have to photograph all the details. I have to do all of this. And he had this moment where he was like, I don't like this. Like, I don't like, this doesn't, it's like, he realized, hey, you know what? I enjoy these aspects of it, but I don't enjoy these. And why am I doing these things? And it's because I feel like I'm supposed to. It's because I feel like I have to. And what he ended up doing was getting out of weddings altogether. He actually did what we're doing years before. He and his family moved into a camper and just started driving around the country. And he really embraced a lot of like landscape portraiture and all of that. But he kept finding himself saying, man, this would be really cool to have a bride and a groom standing right here. I love this, but if I could just put like a person there. And that turned into, now he just does a Telluride elopement photography in Colorado. And it's just really interesting because I feel like it still follows a very similar path to what you guys are talking about, where he was like, this doesn't feel right. But then as soon as he did find that exact mix, it was like magic, where now it just clicks. And for him, it was, I don't need to do all of this stuff that I thought I needed to do. And his business is now much, much bigger than it was when he was chasing the things down that really didn't light him up.
And I think so many photographers can quit before they find that. And I think we like definitely want to jump in and catch them and empower them to know you can photograph like you want to. And actually that's a key to all of it working, right? Instead of doing what you're supposed to do. Going off the beaten path is actually the key to success.
Yeah, I think Gina and I got lucky that we found this when we did, because we've both been photographing for over 10 years now. And I can't tell you the number of photographers who are like, I'm done. The weddings are too much work. They're over the top. I'm tired of clientzillas. Yeah, exactly. Like they just get so burnt out. So it's about finding the work and the ideal clients that will make both happen for you. And the other thing too is we're really passionate about the teaching aspect, and it's about making your business work for you, because if it's not, you're not going to continue doing it. So having that fulfillment and generating the income that makes sense for you and your business.
Yeah. So would you say that you guys are really here for those photographers who want to kind of embrace this photojournalistic documentarian type of photography, specifically for weddings, but they're in, like, are you basically trying to help past you, that you who was, I'm not doing what I love that, but I'm afraid that I can't make a living off of that. Is that where you guys step in? Is that where,
and I think, I feel like there's 5 past me's it could help. Like the one at the, like, I wish it could help the one at the very beginning. When I was like, okay, I know how to take pictures and I'm going to start this business. And whoa, if I could have had this back then, I would have saved like so many years and so much money and all the stuff. And then there's another part where it was like that, losing my compass, or the other part where now I'm realizing like I definitely wasn't charging the right amount of money, or so many parts. So that's what we were kind of like really keeping in mind when we made it, is like we really feel genuinely like a beginner can come in, someone that's totally burnt out can come in, that just wants to work with different clients, and then people that are emerging too. And we've had people go through it of different stages, and it's cool to see how it really works for
Yep.
all those
Yeah.
different kind
So
of journeys.
yeah, so you're bringing in not just the people who are already where you were, where they're maybe on the brink of just saying, maybe this just isn't it, and I need to go back to doing whatever, or settling and just saying, I guess
Mhm.
this is just what it's going to be, versus also trying to head those brand new photographers off at the pass and say, hey, don't do all of this stuff like this wandering through the woods for 40 days and 40 nights. You don't have to do it.
Yeah.
Just do this instead.
Yeah.
Or I like to reference. Did you ever watch the show 24?
No.
Yeah.
Wait. I don't
All
know.
right, yeah, with
Maybe.
Jack Bauer. Yeah. So we joke around that if they had just done it Jack's way, then the show would have been called Six. Just do it his way every time, and like he would have just gotten
Yeah.
this knocked out. And
That makes
I
sense.
think that when coaching and courses and coaching programs are done the right way, it's very similar to that. If you you can
Yeah.
go do 24, but if you just do it my way, we can call it 6. Let's
Yeah.
just be done. Yeah,
And
yeah.
there's so much to save, like not only time and money, but like that the anxiety and stress, I think, is like my actual biggest regret.
Yeah.
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 I think the support is really important because so I had a mentor that helped me get here, and I think Gina basically did too. And I think having those people that feel the same way about it as you is what gets you there. Because doing it on your own is you doubt everything. I doubted everything.
Yeah.
So having that support, I think, is really
Yeah.
important.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Adrian and I have referred to ourselves as the canary in a coal mine. Like we've been there already. We can alert you to the dangers before you have to actually like
I like that.
deal with the consequences of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like having someone tell you, if you do it this way, like it's gonna work, it gives you the courage, the
Yeah.
like motivation to switch things up. Cause I think that's what I needed to hear. It was like,
Mm.
okay, stop doing what you're doing, because that felt scary.
Yeah.
Can you just trust me if you do it the way you feel like you should? And I think like really trusting yourself, like it's so easy to say that, but trusting yourself and like just being you and shooting how you want to shoot is such like a key point, but it's hard to get there on your own. It like really is.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so let's be clear about this. Like the photographer who is brand new, I think you have to go through maybe not 40 days and 40 nights, but you
True.
have to go through
True.
a little bit of that wilderness to just figure out what is it that you want to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, once you do start seeing those sparks in certain areas where you're like, oh man, take note when you come back from a session or an event or something, and those that you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm just exhausted, versus those that you come back and you're like, I can't fall asleep because that was freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Then note those things and say, okay, maybe this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so walk me through this idea of I'm trying to decide if I want to focus on the capture what's real or the build a business that you love. Let's jump over to the business that you love part. So what does like the ideal look like for you guys?
Oh, do you want me to take it
Well,
first?
right. Yeah. You're like, I don't know.
I feel bad. Like I don't want to.
Question. Yeah.
For me, it's like ideal client is number one. And by that, I clients that like that when you're excited to go to their wedding, you're pumped when you leave because it was like almost a rush, like when you were doing it. Just great folks. They appreciate you. They trust you. You totally would hang out with them. That kind of is what I mean by ideal clients. They let you do what you do and actually like make it so rewarding.
Yeah.
And then the other component for me would be like that work-life balance piece where I'm getting the amount that I want, but not feeling overwhelmed, but not feeling like I have to like go around being worried about the amount that's coming in. So like that nice balance. And then that kind of comes into charging what you're worth, because I know it's not like not making it about the money, but making your time, if you can do the time money thing right, that's when you get the work-life balance. That's when you have that job security, the financial security, and all with your ideal clients. So that's what it means to me. Those sort of three components, right?
Absolutely.
I think the big thing too for me is being able to, so I have a young daughter and the perspective has changed to be like, I want to shoot X amount of weddings, to maybe I have to do a little bit of a decrease in, or like recalculation as to what that is. So being able to reserve like one weekend a month to make sure that I have that for family time. Or a friend of mine, his ideal is he takes August off. And
Yeah.
so I think being able to have that balance, which is a never ending pursuit, but realizing what you want and being able to have the confidence to say no to work that you don't want and be open and available for work that you do want is a big
Yeah.
thing.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think
absolutely.
that I think is where a lot of these conversations around money, because Gina, I noticed that you walked into the money conversation and then took a couple steps back, and then we're so hesitant sometimes to talk about, I don't want to make it about the money. When it comes down to it, these are businesses. So whether we
Mhm.
like it or not, it's about the money. Angie, I think what you just said is really what it's truly about. It's not about the money. It's about what the money affords us, what the money
So
allows
true.
us to do. If we can block off all of August, because I know that I'm making enough to be able to take off the month of August, which I don't even want to go outside in the month of August, pretty much anywhere in the country, right? Maybe up in New England, but not even this year. It was crazy hot up
I
there when
know.
we were up there. But, or to block off a single weekend every month and to just be able to say, no, I don't need to
Yeah.
work. We like to talk over here about this idea of, look, we help you build the business that you want, not just for the sake of building a business. It's to support the life that you want. That's the
Mhm.
end goal, is
Yes.
what do I want my life to look like? And how do I build my business in such a way to support that? Because I think that it's so easy to let that get flipped, where it's like, nope, I have to now bend my life around so that I can just do what I need to do with my business to just make ends meet, or and to be able to get to the point where you guys are and where you're teaching your students to be, where you really can say, nope, my business works for me. I don't work for my business. My business works for me, and it does what I need it to do to build this life that I want. And
Yeah.
going back to this idea of North Star, that's something that's come up a ton over here is, our business is growing, but we realize, okay, it's grown. Okay. So our most recent example of this was we were starting to get a lot more one-on-one clients and coaching clients and stuff like that. And it was cool. It's like, yeah, our business is growing, but I live in a camper now and I don't know if I'm going to have internet. And the whole point of doing this move was I want to spend a lot more time with my family. And it was this kind of this gut check where we had to, again, look at our personal North Star and say, the business is growing, but is it growing in the direction that actually feeds the life that I want? No,
Yeah.
it's not. So what's the point of hustling if I'm hustling in the wrong direction? Let's just recalibrate and say, nope, that's not what we're focusing on right now, which is already paid off for us, because what happened was as soon as we let go of the courses and the coaching programs and said, hey, you know what, we're not going to chase any new ones down, but we still have people who are like, hey, I need help. And it's what led to relationships like this. I started reaching out a lot more to existing coaches and course creators and saying, hey, I want to connect with you. I want to know what you're about so that we can send people over your way. And I can say, when somebody comes across my, I don't know, into my world, then I can say, oh, you're perfect for Gina and Angie. That is exactly who they want to serve. So it's really cool how these things just kind of work
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. When
I
you're
would
on the right track. Yeah.
Yep.
I would say that, to be honest, like above all else, like revealing the narrative is about how to get your business where you want and being able to identify the types of clients and move forward with them. So while we do have a really big focus on moment driven, it does apply to anyone who's really trying to figure out like what they want to do and how they can make their business more sustainable. Because you're right, if you don't have that, you're not going to continue doing it. You're going to burn out. You're going to do other things. And even you mentioned like choosing the business that works for you. My husband is an economics major, and for him, it's like the dollar signs. Like he wants to know bottom line, what's in the
Yep.
red, what's in the black. And he was trying to convince me for years, like just to go to luxury photography and charge these astronomical rates. And I was like, I don't want that type of client. Like I don't want that life that comes with it. And when I finally explained it to him, he was like, oh, okay, I get it. But for him, he was like, you could make $15,000 or $20,000 on a wedding. Why
Yep.
would you do all these? And I'm like, this client wants XYZ and my client wants this. And this is not appreciated. This is appreciated. Like, I won't like my job if that's what it is.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a little bit of a rant.
But I think that's sometimes why I took that step back from the money, because I feel like sometimes it does feel like if money is the priority, then the passion goes down here or the lifestyle goes down here. So I love that you address that head on, because if you do it right, that money can get all that freedom too, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And freedom is a big thing.
Yeah,
there's always trade-offs with what you do.
Yeah, there's always a catch with every single decision. It's this idea of, what's the word I'm looking for here? It's the cost. Yeah, almost. Yeah, or almost like a negative cost. Or I don't know. I'll just say the concept, and then maybe you guys will remember the phrase for it.
There's a cost to everything.
Yeah, there's a cost for everything. And it's this idea that if I choose to do this thing, it also means that I am not choosing all of these other things. So by choosing to take this high-end $20,000 wedding photography package wedding, like, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll take that money. That sounds great. But what am I choosing not to do? I'm choosing not to work with these clients that would really, truly light me up, and that I know I could serve better than I'm serving this person over here where my heart's not really in it. And if you look at your career over lifespan, and we're not just looking at how much money did I make this weekend or this month or this year, and instead you look at how much did I make over the course of my career, those $15,000 and $20,000 weddings, that sounds cool, but you're going to burn out if that's not what you're into. If instead you go your 5,000 or your 7 or your 10 from the weddings that you really truly love, you're going to last much longer. And over the course of it, it all works out in the wash, or all comes out in the wash.
Absolutely.
It all works out.
Yeah. And I do think there's a bit of a, like, I've heard people say that maybe people wouldn't pay as much for documentary photography. And I do think that's a total myth. Is that the right word? Mythbuster. Like it,
right.
I love most about my clients is the huge range. That what they have in common is they want real moments. It's not their economic status or the type of wedding. They're there. It's about the people. It's about being real, the emotion, the joining of families and all these beautiful things. But I've been to so many different types, and that's what it's exciting for me too. I would not want them all to feel or be the same.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And you know what I think is, I was going to say funny, but that's actually kind of sad, is that I think that I think you'll agree with this. I think that most clients, most couples, even those who are doing these big lavish weddings and they want all of these details, I think, having now been married for 14 years, they're going to look back in a decade and say, stuff didn't matter. I don't really care what my cake looked like. And like, it's a cool looking picture of my shoes, but what about grandma? Like, what about that first dance? Or obviously we're getting pictures of first dances no matter what. But I do think that, hindsight being 2020, a lot of these clients are going to look back and say that they wish they had something more like what you do than what I did, because we did all of the posed and, man, you look super cool and it's all stylized and all of that. And it was fine. And that's what our clients wanted. But I bet that if I went back to them now that it's been 10 years since I shot, man, I was going to say my first wedding, but that's not true because I'm old. Like the middle of my weddings, I bet if I went back to them, I bet a lot of them would say, no, it's not really what I thought. That's not really what I thought it was about.
We can all get caught up in, like, all the things, and industry can point us in that way. And I think that's part of our passion, was to take that up too and be like, what if the industry was all about the real stuff? How cool would that be?
Yeah, I love that. Man.
No, I hear you.
I think that what you guys are doing is so important. It's not just for the photographers. I think it's for the clients, that by winning more photographers over to this way of running a business and this path in their photography itself, not only are you going to create photographers who are happier in their everyday lives and who feel more fulfilled, but you're going to create clients who are getting exactly what they want and getting these things that really truly do matter. I tell a story when I talk to photographers about this idea that I think there are a lot of photographers who feel like if they're really honest with themselves, they have some misgivings about, is what we do really important? I'm not out saving lives. What I do is just whatever. So the short version of this story is that, so my brother is in law enforcement. His wife is a firefighter. Like, I literally have a newspaper, front page of the newspaper of her carrying someone out of a burning building, like legit saving people's lives. And and my brother and I were talking over Thanksgiving one year, and he was asking how things were going, how the business was going. This was back when we were shooting weddings. And I was like, I don't know. I take pictures of women in white dresses. Like, this, it's not really that big a deal. Like, what you're doing is a really big deal. At the time, he was a big part actually of the Boston Marathon bombing investigation.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm like, let's not talk about my stuff. My stuff's boring. What you're doing is super important. Like, you're literally out there saving lives. And what he said to me was, first of all, my job is mostly paperwork, but let's just pretend that it's saving lives. And he said, at the end of the day, when I come home, what do I come home to? I come home to my family, and I come home to those pictures that you've taken of my family. So while I might be, big emphasis, might be out there saving lives, you're creating the reminders of why life is worth living in the first place. And that, to me, like, that was, that changed things for me. And I feel ultimately that's what you guys are doing, is helping photographers embrace that and helping them do it in a way that allows them to be true to themselves and to be fulfilled in what it is that they're doing. But at the end of the day, this really is about the clients, and they are truly creating those reminders of why life is worth living in the first place. Those things that say, I was here. These things happened. These things matter. These people matter. And I think we get so caught up in what buttons do I push and how do I run an ad that we forget that's what we're doing here, is creating those things that just say, look, I existed and I mattered. And these are the things that mattered to me. And like that, to me, that's it. Okay, let me just, how do I do that as best as possible? And what you guys are doing is allowing them to make a living off of it and to feel fulfilled doing exactly that, because that's really the type of photography that you guys are helping people chase down. So anyway, I'm talking far too much.
No,
I just love what you guys are doing over there. And I could legit talk to you for like hours about this, but no one will listen to that. Right? They'll be like, oh my God, it's still Chris just talking. So let's put a pin in this here, but I want to talk with you guys again sometime soon. And maybe what we'll do, if you're open to it, I really want to start doing panel discussions, like roundtable discussions, where we have a handful of photographers from all kinds of different areas. We pick a very specific topic or question or pain point for photographers, and we say, go, like, now tell us what you think about that thing. I think you guys would be brilliant for something like that if you'd be open to it.
Love that. Yeah.
All right. Excellent. Excellent. And if you don't love it, you had to say that you did, because I asked you while I was recording. So awesome. Perfect. Yeah, because I put you on the spot. Yeah.
I think you'll find that Gina and I are more the blunt, honest type. It's not the polite South. It is the brutal, honest North.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. All right, let's wrap this up with, what is the best way for someone to learn more about what you guys are doing over there?
Our website is a great place to start. It's revealingthenarrative.com. And if you go on there, you're gonna see about our courses. We have some guides, mentoring. There's some free resources on there, a blog, which Angie is doing an awesome job putting like really topical articles up and things. We have a private community too. So if you're interested, let us know and we'll send you like a sort of invite to that. Yeah, I'd say those are the main things. We're on Instagram too, but our website has the core of the information for sure.
Yep. Yeah, that would be the hub to find
Yeah.
all of the things. Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. So that's revealingthenarrative.com. And thank you so much, Gina and Angie. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.